Hello everyone, and welcome to Live from Beyond. Today uh, we're gonna be playing Clockwork Dominion. Um, the story is called The Rain. It's a small module
What kind of rain?
that I created. The REIGN, not any other kind of rain. And I'm here with our players who have recently got enlisted on a small shindig, a little Christmas Eve gathering with the princess. Now, so I'm just going to remind you guys. Last we left off, you just left the throne room from speaking with the queen, and the council essentially asked you as a favor to keep an eye out. You had a lot more questions, and one of the people responsible, Emmanuel Rudhall, who's actually a friend of yours, he ended up walking you guys out and walking you into one of the side rooms. And I know we had a lot of questions up in the air. So why don't we take off exactly where we left off? Where he leads you into a small into a small sitting room, and as you kind of sit down, um, he's like, okay, he's like, I'm really happy that went as smooth as it did. That could have been my neck. That could have been my neck there. So, like I said, I owe you.
Before we get too far, we might want to introduce ourselves. I don't know if we still do that, but.
And I'm Nick.
And I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
Uh-oh.
Why does Nick ruin everything? Okay, sorry.
Kevin took my name. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
That's true. He also took your occupation or whatever in this game.
Yeah, I have
So,
this. I have this sweet
That just takes
technical
everything from me.
difficulties screen I can switch to now.
Yeah,
Alright,
right.
everybody. All right.
All right, I'm sorry. Why don't you guys introduce? Sorry, I just skipped the story. Why don't you guys introduce yourself in? Wait, why are we in a standby screen? Oh, never mind, we're back.
We're not anymore. Don't worry
And so
about it.
let's start with Nick.
But we're in trouble with the licensing authority, that's for sure.
Tell us about you and your character, Nick.
All right. Me, I'm, a dude. I like to play RPGs.
All right, and Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? No, come on, Nick.
I feel really put on the spot. I don't know what to say about myself. I like long walks on the beach and Dave's face.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
That doesn't distinguish you from literally every other human being on the planet.
The whole
So,
audience is like, and
Yes.
yeah, but this week on Clockwork Dominion, the Reagan, I will be playing Baron Chester Northington, an upstanding military man of the Clockwork British Army.
All right, and
Okay.
I'm Kevin, and I'm playing Ulysses Winterfig, a spy.
Also,
a man
also an upright military man.
a man about town. A friend to all.
Aaron?
Good guy. Yeah, I'm Aaron, and I'm playing Edward Hal Blakeney, who's a academic, tinkerer of sorts, and sometimes a rabble rouser. But probably not today, since all we're trying to do is go to a party. Not much rabble to rouse at a party. But he did get a bunch of donkeys into a party once, so he's good with that too.
That's right. That happened.
Hello.
Right, which
I'm
is
Dave,
basically the
and
crux of our entire plan.
I will be playing the Honorable John Neville,
The
a
Han!
socialite in the upper classes of the England social scene. He is known for parties, as a matter of fact, and so this is going to be a great episode.
He is a
He's also known as the Han.
Yeah.
To some select few, he might go by the Han, but
His
only if you know
friends.
him really well. It's a little rude to address him as such in more public circles.
Indeed.
Yes. So I added a little handout to the to Roll20, which is basically the I think I could like hit show to players.
Advisors. to
It's
the
just
queen.
it's just the advisors to the queen, right? Because I think Kim was saying he had like a little bit of a hard time like keeping up with who's who.
Yeah.
And so this is what the just a brief note, and I have similar on some other ones that as we encounter, so you guys don't have to go as crazy like taking notes and stuff. So yeah, so just so j- it has been 2 weeks since we played, so I'll just give a little bit of what we learned, a little bit of a recap. So Emmanuel Rudhall has told you that, or I guess with the council as well, that he believes that the something's wrong with something strange is happening with Princess Arabella. She is the sister of Queen Victoria, and he is and she's she's liked by all, but he's concerned that some weird things are happening. And when pressed for details, as you should have, he told you about a young lady who is a friend of the princess's. Her name is Judith Pilot, and she came to him in secret and in privacy or whatever, and she told him that she attended a small gathering with the princess, like a sort of like a girls' night out, and then they spent the night, maybe five or so ladies at the princess's mansion, and that she had some self-harm marks appear on her. Now, it would be it would have seemed like a cover-up story, except these marks seem like they are weeks old. They are mostly healed, maybe a little bit left unhealed, but as there are plenty of evidence point that she's not lying, mostly because Judith has been out in public, and she has been to certain balls where she would wear like short sleeve dresses, and they would be visible for all to see, and no one has commented. There's been no rumors about them at all, and now they are on her hands and they look like they are old, right? They're not recent. So she didn't know, she was scared, and so she came to Emmanuel and like told him this. So that was essentially his first concern for the princess. So that's where we left off. So this is how. So everything that leading up to this point happened. You spoke to the advisors in the throne room, and then you come to and then he finally puts you back into the sitting room, and he says, "I'm so glad that that you guys did as well as you did, because he was like, I was completely out of options at this point." So to prep you for this event, he says there's going to be 7 gentlemen and 7 ladies at this. I don't even know what to call it. Event, party, gathering, whatever it is that Princess Arabella is up to these days.
It'll definitely be a party by the time we get there. Matters.
He says, yes. Have any of you heard of the princess's trinket parties? And he like looks at you like questioningly.
Did you say shrink-it parties?
Trinket.
Is it something? Is it something I would know about?
Why don't you tell us that, Dave? Why don't you give me some check here that I will figure out in like 3 seconds? Hold on, I gotta pop up. Okay. Hold on. Wait for it. So that would be focus and bureaucracy.
Okay. So I
And
draw
then
a card, right?
yeah, and so this would be a 4. The difficulty is 4 for this one.
Okay, I draw one card. My focus plus bureaucracy is 4.
Excellent.
I got a 0. So
It's a -1. Oh, you got a 0. Okay, so
I got a 0. My focus and plus
Right.
bureaucracy is 4, and the
so
difficulty
you're
was 4.
exactly so you're exactly at 4, which
Yeah.
means you succeed. So essentially, you know that basically she gets a little. She's a little quirky in like the royal court, right? Basically, she doesn't follow by a lot of the social like etiquette rules, and she does things that other people consider uncouth, right? And so these parties is where she invites people that she doesn't necessarily know, which is like weird to begin with, right? But she invites people that she doesn't necessarily know, as long as they can bring an item of interest that would, that they would like share among the group, right? To kind of like an item that otherwise would not be seen. Like up until this point, like you didn't care, right? Like you don't run in like in her particular circle, so it wasn't a big deal for you, Dave. So like or John, so it wasn't a big deal. But you have heard of it through your, through word gets around to you.
Wait, you're telling me that it wasn't a big deal to me? Like that sounds like exactly my kind of party.
Yeah, but you don't
Like,
run in her circles, right? Like
I mean, not yet.
not
Like,
yet.
obviously,
That's a good way of thinking.
this party's about to set a lot of things in motions right here.
Right.
My dear friends, might it be possible for us to adjourn to a more familiar location before we finish our discussion? I suppose my estate could certainly serve us, or if His Excellency Neville would be so kind, we could repair to his house.
That would be most acceptable. My estate is a slight journey outside of town here. However, I am more than delighted to invite all of you back and make lavish accommodations for our entire party.
Rudhall says, Rudhall, he's there standing in the room with you, and he says, absolutely, you're 100% correct that this isn't the best place to have this conversation. But at the same time, before we leave, perhaps you guys, would you all have something to bring to such an event?
You want to know whether we have any trinkets to our name?
Something that
I can rummage through my closets. I probably have a spare trinket or two lying around. I do fancy myself a bit of a collector in terms of these kinds of party trinkets, if you catch my drift. So I think I may be able to cover all of us as far as those trinkets go.
he looks at you questioningly, and he's like, okay, so just so that there's no confusion, we're talking about a magical or mechanical wonder, right?
Sure, of course.
He says, okay,
Adoya is what he meant to say.
okay.
I don't know. Do I actually need to have something
Isn't it
like
like
this
the
in my,
definition of a trinket?
like? I don't actually have that in my gear, if that is what you mean, and so.
No, these are not like things that you can like easily get your hands on. They're like
Right, so like technically I don't have anything like that, as my character sheet goes. But I mean, certainly I'm sure the Honorable John Neville might be able to, have something like that, or not. I don't know.
okay. Okay, so no problem. So Rudhall, he says, okay, great. He's like, I did not want to raid the Queen's cabinet for this anyway, and he goes to like lock up the chest drawer, the cabinet that he has like displayed in this room, which is the scenery of this background.
Wait. So he was asking
on
all of
roll
us if we
20.
have something, or
Yeah, and John
Oh.
said he could procure something for everybody.
oh, thanks, John.
Everybody knows the Han provides.
I do what I can.
Yeah, so
And
he,
like,
so
if necessary, Baron Justin Northington probably has something he could pull out of the bottom of a chest from like his excursions in Australia.
It so happens that I had heard about the princess's trinket parties, and I did try to throw one myself. Probably not quite as a success as hers are, but I did wind up with a few spare trinkets lying around after that. So
He
perhaps
accidentally threw a shrinket party and it didn't go well.
I have a lot of cocaine, so I'm sure that will suffice for whatever is required in this situation.
okay, so he
A
says,
lot
well,
of cocaine.
he says, okay, then let's make our way. Let's make our way to your place then.
All right.
excellent. I will summon my driver.
Okay, so what Woodhull's going to do is he also summons his he summons a few cars, knowing that how some of you came, not necessarily, some of you came walking, some of you hitched a ride, so he doesn't ask, and he summons like 5 cars regardless, or whatever, 2 cars, because you
Alright.
guys can share like peasants.
No, he can summon 5 and show off because we only need 2, or like probably even 1.
The others just have guns on them. So, so yeah, so the journey isn't very long. It's to John Neville's house. He does have an abode in London. So as tell us about your place.
The
Yeah.
Han provides and abides. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I do have quite. Okay, to be honest, I thought I was at my father's place in Westmoreland, which I don't
That's
think
fine.
is that close.
Oh, never mind then. So,
But I mean, I can also have a place in London that I can.
Clockwork Westmoreland might be like right there.
Where is Westmoreland? Who knows?
I don't.
Probably
So
not.
let's say we don't go outside of London. Let's say that for now you go to your private apartments in London.
And for those of you in London, I'm sorry, I don't know where Westmoreland is. All right.
Dave, you're so cute thinking we have fans in London.
I'd still be getting flack for the Liechtenstein comments. All right. You don't know that.
That's true.
I forgot about you.
All right, Dave, so why don't you tell us about your apartments? You know what? Forget that. Kevin, why don't you tell us what's different about what do you notice about John Neville's apartments?
So all of the windows have like sheets and blankets over the over the curtains, to, like extra block out the light.
Which
Okay, as you walk into, and you are obviously greeted by your butler. What's his name,
Buddy.
Dave?
Smithers.
if it's not
Smithers.
Jeeves, then like
So Smithers, he says, "Good day, sirs. Please follow me." And he takes you to where he hands you like little cloth to wipe off, the road off of your. I mean, it was like a 5-minute trip, so you like little wet piece of cloth to wipe the road off of your hands and wipe your faces, and then he guides you into the sitting room.
wait, we're wiping the road off our hands and then onto our faces. This is
Yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah.
It's just a
Listen,
road
just because you didn't know
transfer.
the right order of like wiping stuff off is not my problem. So yeah, you walk into this big a ballroom or sitting room. I guess it's a fairly big for it's still an apartment building, but this is like a really long room, and the first thing you notice is that you can't see any light pouring in, even though it's noon now, right? The sun's out. It's nice out, and there's like extra blackout curtains, and I guess everybody just sort of stands there looking at him for a second before going to take a glass or light up a cigar.
I say, Smithers, go and take one of those shades down. We can let some light in now. We're all up early. I turn to the rest and say, I usually have them keep those up. I don't want people prying in, and most of the time I sleep rather late after a party, so I like it pretty dark in here, but we don't really need that right now.
So you see Smithers walk up to the opposite wall and like press a little button, and this mechanical creature like walks across the top of the curtain, like pulling it along with it as like this like enormous fold of blankets and curtains gets like pulled aside.
Most impressive.
So
Well, John, I'm afraid you may end up giving that to the princess.
So Rudhall sits down, and for those of you that are like, that glance in his direction, you see that he's like bobbing his leg and like, maybe like tapping in his cigar a little few too many times. Like he's a little anxious, right? Like this is very unlike him, who's normally like a calm, relaxed, knows exactly what he wants kind of man. So this is a little bit outside of his area of expertise, maybe. So he says, so what's the plan?
An important question first, my dear boy. I don't know how to put this entirely tactfully, but is our concern for the crown or for the princess in the first
the
order?
princess? The princess. Why do you think
Is
there should
that-
be a concern for the crown?
Because anything that happens to the princess reflects upon the crown. And anything that the princess does reflects upon the crown. And so sometimes difficult choices must be made where the interests of one conflict with the interests of another. You're sending us into a situation where it seems rather likely that such decisions may be made, and I would like to know going into it what the priority is.
Says
From your end, at least, if not necessarily asking you to speak on the Queen's behalf.
says definitely the princess. The princess comes first.
Very well.
That seems really weird to the Baron Chester Northington.
Yeah, that seems suspicious.
Definitely. Just like you know.
Emmanuel, is that your feeling or Her Majesty's?
He sort of like sits back and he says, both. He says, the queen. I obviously want Princess Arabella safe, and so does her sister. I don't. Obviously, discretion is advised because, right, we don't want this type of information getting out about Arabella nor about Queen Victoria. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the princess is unharmed and okay, and that whatever this whatever this is, that doesn't affect her in any way.
Well, of course, we will do whatever we can to protect the princess. Have you given us all the necessary information regarding what Princess Arabella's friend told you in regards to the threat? Is there anything more specific that we need to be on the lookout for at the party?
Like if there's like one key thing that you left out so that at a crucial moment we're like really shafted. Like
You see him get a little bit like uncomfortable. And he's like, I guess I did leave out a small detail.
Aha!
J'accuse!
Ulysses jumps out of the suit of armor. I got it!
He says
We've got
he says there the self-harm marks on Judith, they are on her wrists, but also very high on her thigh. On both her thighs.
All right. So, as a man of mystery, I guess maybe I asked about this last time, whether this was like something that was suspicious in a supernatural sense.
So you did. It is suspicious, and the answer, I think you rolled like one below success, and I think the answer is that it could be supernatural, right? Like it's just like a sort of thing. Like there's a lot that could be affected by the supernatural, and this could be something, but you did not know of any such case.
This is definitely supernatural.
Yeah, if you give Ulysses Winterfig like the hint that anything might even remotely be supernatural, like
A witch.
it's supernatural. Yeah.
I would not.
Get the ducks.
He says, I've also managed to get my hands on the attendees list. I've taken I've pulled a few favors and have gathered everyone that I know, but there are still unfortunately some that I don't have much info on. So as you were
It's
told,
us. He asked us to like fill out information cards about ourselves.
I remember you told us about most of the other gentlemen that would be attending, but did you find out about the other ladies that would be there?
I did. I had my secretary look into it right as she gave me a little list. So he takes out this little parchment, very clean, very. It says like for Emmanuel Root Hall, eyes only, right? And he show to everyone, and he hands you this little where he has all of the gentlemen and ladies that. So the gentleman is cut short, obviously, because there's only 2 other gentlemen besides the 4+1 of you. So for the game purposes, Kim's character is still attending. He's just not as vocal.
Understood.
He's been a little quiet ever since we got here, hasn't he?
Yeah, the dark made him uncomfortable, and now
He's probably a witch.
He's
Probably.
definitely a witch.
God damn it.
So he says, yes, the brothers Webb will be there. Obviously, Judith, a close friend of the princess, will be attending, as well as Arabella herself. There are a couple of people that I just only know either by title or know nothing about whatsoever. And so just quickly he goes over. He says, "Oh, it's just for our audience. There's Arabella Sands. There's Judith, who is the friend. There's another lady, Alice Livingston, who he knows absolutely nothing about. There's Mary Wencall, who's in her 30s. She's single. She has an inheritance, so that
Apparently,
nobody
you don't know
really
much
knows.
about the size of her
Inheritance. That's right. There's Winifred Dunch, which is she's a well-known. She's the equine aficionado of London, but she doesn't really go out to many balls or parties or anything like that, and she keeps her life very private. There's Grace Burrell, who he doesn't know much about, but she is the daughter of the locomotive mogul Horace Burrell. But Horace is very he's very brisk, very quick to anger, and so because of that, she's been sort of kept away, and she's very shy and socially awkward because of that. And he says the interesting one is Christina Fisher. She's from what I heard, a magus of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really know what that means very much. But he says, I've managed. He said, I've read these in the car on the drive up, and now I hand them over to you.
Certainly sounds like the most interesting one. It might not be, but it
Emmanuel,
sounds like.
do you consider it strange that Judith will be in attendance when this seems to be a party with everybody supposing to be people that Princess Arabella does not know?
Oh, it's not necessarily that she doesn't know them. It's people that she doesn't necessarily know, right? She always invites some friends.
Isn't that anyone? Isn't that like just
No.
not
There
qualifier?
are some people that she doesn't know. Let's put it that way. But she might know some. So in this case, Judith is one of her best friends. I think it would be strange if she wasn't there. I think we actually had to ask. I think so Lund actually talked to her, and he asked her to specifically attend to not make it strange by denying the princess's request to attend her Christmas Eve party.
It'd be like the Han throwing a party without donkeys. Like people would
Indeed.
notice.
That was just the once.
People have noticed ever since. Where's the
Exactly.
donkey?
Yeah.
Maybe
Every
that-
time.
maybe
They're like,
something
"Where are the
from you."
If you
donkeys?"
do something more than once, it totally loses its shine.
That's probably true. I mean, the
He says,
donkey's never exactly shined. That's not really a donkey thing. But I take your point.
All your friends. Oh, never mind. It's not even worth it.
Because I also can't vet the staff without being too open with our intentions.
I mean that we're kidnapping the princess.
You trying to marry somebody?
What? No kidnapping anyone.
I didn't say that. That was the Han.
John Neville, no.
I don't believe it's that kind of party, Baron.
Not yet.
He says, so there should be 10 to 15 staff on hand, including the cooks, the servants, the footmen, but I don't believe just I could not vet any of them without the rumors spreading among the servants like wildfire.
Well, you had asked about our plan, and I think without more of an idea as to the type of threat facing the princess, our best bet may just be to go and keep a close watch.
I'm
And
pretty sure there was a pretty creditable kidnapping threat. That's what's going on with the princess.
a kidnapping threat.
From Baron Northington.
Yeah, that's our plan. Apparently, is to manufacture
Well,
the
she's
same
not
thing we're
there.
going to
She
save her
could
from.
be in danger, right? If we kidnap her from the party, nobody's gonna like.
Baron, I would fear for any lady in your presence.
Oh shit!
You mean because like they can't resist my charms?
Oh, that's quite right.
He says, all right, well, he says, if there's no other questions for me, I should be getting back to my duties, to my work, children.
Oh, did you hear that?
I
He
need to
said
find a break in
duties.
town.
And he says, just remember, the trinkets are to impress, and they're your ticket into the party.
Is like a greased up donkey kind of magical?
I will say the one donkey that made it out alive. He was something to behold. Could very
My
well have
God,
been
wait, you killed the rest of the donkeys? The story of this party
Candle
has
that
been
burns
like.
twice as bright lasts half as long.
You
The
say the
donkey
camel?
that burns 3 times as bright. Lasts
You say the
a third
camel?
as-
Because we're not talking about camels, we're talking about donkeys.
Well, you know,
The real question is, how bright does a camel burn?
I
that's,
feel
really,
like
that's the question because it's going to determine how long you need.
I feel like I've made some mistakes at some point. that I've,
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
By joining this video chat in the first place.
Yes. He says, so why don't you guys, those of you that can or that have, roll, or give me a roll of
a card
focus.
draw.
Well, no. Focus plus intuition to see if you can acquire these any of these items, or like how much it would cost or something along that line.
Wait, so focus plus intuition and roll, or
Well, so there's no rolls, it's draw a card, right?
right?
So keep the cards that you have out and draw another one, right? Like, so don't return that 0 to the box, Dave.
Right.
Just grab another one. And so
What happened to our cards from last time? Nothing? Anything?
So I shuffled them. I reshuffled because
All right,
it's a new
so I got a
chapter.
9.
All right. Well, you have to beat a 5. So Kevin's like some sort of jizz hole. What is your?
What did you call me?
I got a nothing.
Yeah, wait,
What?
I mean,
what?
what the fuck did you do?
Yeah, what?
Excuse
What?
me.
Kevin's. It's like literally Kevin's
I'm
best
going back
guy.
to the standby
Sorry, for the
screen.
benefit of our audience, remind us how this works.
All right. So basically, our players have aptitudes, which are their attributes. They're essentially govern their
You mean our
intellectual,
characters have
physical.
aptitudes. I'm not sure all these players have aptitudes.
They have physical, social, and intrigue aptitudes, along with some skills. In this case, they're using the aptitude focus with a combined skill of intuition to see, like, what would something like this be worth, or where could you acquire something like this?
Mhm.
So, besides Ulysses, did
We
haven't
anyone
got a clue.
add the relevant stats and the card, right?
and the card that is drawn from the deck? Yes.
Right.
My
The
total
honorable
after
top
adding
level
everything.
has no intuition that he is aware of.
Yeah, and I've got a 3. So, I mean, I don't exactly go around to trinket parties with any regularity.
All right.
So Kevin, you beat it by a 4.
Yeah, I ended
Right.
up with an
Me-
8.
This is a
So Kevin provides us all with trinkets.
no. So this is to know. So you know
I know that I
that
definitely cannot afford a trinket. Under no circumstances is that even remotely
Yes.
possible.
so acquiring to own, let's say 5 trinkets worth would be going down 1 wealth level, like permanently. 1 means. Like if you're looking to get like a
That's how expensive they are, you're saying.
right, like these are mechanical and magical like wonders, right?
Yeah, but
So
so like
something-
if we were to like sell a kidnapped princess, like that would
Oh, you can get
probably pay
you can get a
for it,
few,
right?
yeah, for sure.
But like,
but
we
so-
can't get in to see the princess until we have the trinkets. So you're not helping here, Northington.
I didn't say it had to be this princess.
Oh, all right, we're kidnapping another princess.
I
I'm
was
in.
just asking like what the going rate in trinkets was for a kidnapped princess.
side
That's
side
a fair
quest,
question.
side quest.
Yeah,
Kidnap another
Yeah.
princess.
we'll be right back, Emmanuel. We just need to pop over to Sweden briefly.
Clockwork Sweden.
So this is acquiring to own. You don't necessarily need to own them. It would be cheaper if you could borrow. The church
Is there like a
might
magic
have-
shop?
Well, so the church might know there was no magic shop. Magic is like strictly forbidden.
Wait.
Oh.
Aren't
A
we supposed to
witch?
like give these as gifts?
You said
So-
magic items.
I think we just bring them and like show them off,
Wait.
like show and
I
tell.
don't think they're magic items. I think they're like items of wonder.
He used the word magic when describing.
Well, or
Listen,
mechanical.
hold on. I have a baseline question, which is: Are we or are we not supposed to like hand these over at the door?
You're not supposed to hand them over the door, but you are expected to.
Not leave with them.
Well, so it depends, right? Are you right? So you're not giving these items up.
Okay, all right. So you
Right,
can
it's
borrow
a
them.
show-
It's not like,
it's a
hey, let me
show and
borrow
tell.
your watch. I have to use it to get into a fucking movie, and I'm never leaving.
Right. So no, it's like a show and tell, right? The princess is interested in like seeing these things that are like normally the crown does not approach, right? Because they're considered
No,
maybe
Magic, and magic is
Too-
strictly forbidden.
too new or like too uncouth, right? Something
That-
along that.
that can't possibly be right. We just were in a room with like fucking 60 of them in the palace.
Yeah, I'm
That were
confused.
locked away, right? They're
So
not
you're
locked-
saying
She's
that
a
like
princess. She can look at him
the
anytime she
sister of the
wants.
queen can't go into that fucking room?
not. I mean, it's more of a storage, right?
So wait, I did not.
Isn't
Are
the throne
these
room storage
parties
for the queen?
themselves super uncouth?
I'm sorry.
Are the parties themselves super uncouth?
Well, something like this would be because it's sponsored by like a royalty. Yeah, it's not very, like
Booth?
yeah. No, it's not. These sort of parties like don't really happen. The only reason that Arabella's doing it is one, she can because she's the goddamn princess, and two,
Two, she can't
she's
help
always
herself.
been she's always been like the weird one, right? She always was like on these like weird kicks. She does like weird stuff all the time. So
Barry,
is,
you
like,
just need to
her thing.
believe. You can whatever you want to have happen at a party is what happens at a party,
All right.
especially an Arabella party.
All right. So all right. So I determined that maybe I misunderstood. We can acquire some of these. Like,
We
Yes.
could probably borrow
know-
some.
You know where to acquire them, but if you want to,
Well, if he
buy
knows
them?
where to get them and I have the money,
if you know where to buy
make it
them,
happen.
it's a permanent loss of a means.
Well,
Right,
why
like
would we? Why would we want to buy them?
what if we want to borrow them?
It depends, right? So so Ulysses knows that you can either get them from, the palace has them because they like confiscate them, and the church has them because they confiscate them.
So
And
we robbed the palace. and then-
No. We robbed the church.
No. He's a witch.
It's what the fucking crown has been doing for years. It's the way to go.
and unless there are some very high level like mechanical marvel, something that would take a lot of money to acquire, like I think Hal, you have a very minor one, right? Like that's like the 10 steps below what is required to get into the party, right? You have like a gadget, right? Like you have a very minor gadget compared to what they're looking for.
I see.
So-
So what about the cocaine?
Can you spruce it up a bit? Put it in some kind of mechanical dog.
If you snort enough of the cocaine, does the quality of the gadget go up?
I mean,
It's gotta, right?
It's gotta change, and it can't go down.
So- So Baron Chester Northington got an 8, and I'm curious
Oh.
if there's anything that like. Is there anything Baron Chester Northington has from the wilds of Australia
Baron
that he
Chester
could like?
Northington would really like to know.
So this is
Is there
more
anything
of
that he could like pass off as like a trinket, almost like that he could like convince people that it's really interesting because it's from Australia and they don't know what it is.
This rock is a fucking Australia rock.
It's a moon rock. Came from
Have
the
you
moon.
seen how orange it is?
theoretically you can convince anyone of anything, but it's all going to depend on your role and
Well, no,
the
I understand that, but
intellectual
I'm saying,
prowess of the people involved.
Does my intuition in this scenario with my 8, does my intuition of like cool things that I have make me think like,
No.
like the princess would be interested in this?
No, absolutely not. Like an 8 is like high enough for you to know, like you might impress a princess, right? It might get past her. Will it get past like the 7 other people there that you
Are they all like trinket experts?
No, but
I
all
have-
it takes is one to be like no, right? So okay, so no, the answer is no to your question. But because you got an 8, Nick, you know that there is that the army also has a little bit of a stash that they don't really publicize, right? They sort of keep it.
Wait, why is everybody in Clockwork Land just like holding on to forbidden trinkets?
Because that's what that's
'Cause they're-
reasonable.
Because they're really useful, but if you tell anyone about it, they'll be confiscated. So like, the army
All
holds
right.
on for their own, for their own purposes.
I think that's reasonable.
What about in the army's library? Is there anything like special there that I could look up?
Army's library? No, it would be like in the whatever stockades.
Okay.
They're like
Alright.
all under. They're all very secure, lock and key. These are things that are worth immense amount of money.
All right,
Like
I go in there and successfully talk my way in, and then like ask to borrow one, and they give it to me. Next scene, the party.
I steal Nick's, and then I steal the one he gets after that, and then I sell them. And I buy a
Next
princess,
scene, the party.
which we can.
Oh
sell
my
to-
god, it's a baby!
Baby!
All right.
It's a witch! It's a tiny witch!
It's a tiny witch.
It's a tiny
tiniest
witch.
It's the tiniest witch there
Look at all
is.
these people. What do you think?
Oh my.
Oh my god.
I know, right? They're the
Ah!
worst. All right. So
Listen, why
so
do you
yeah.
get to find a trinket so easily?
Yeah.
Someone just brought you a trinket, and it's gonna permanently decrease your wealth by at least 1.
Well, that's beyond true.
it took me at least
Give him several wealths to
to create that.
Okay, so you right, so with this, Emmanuel says, all right, I really must I must be off. I'm off to the palace.
All right.
All right,
And-
guys,
so
I think we need to go
Fine, just leave us trinketless.
trinket hunting. I think we basically need to go antiquing.
Whose fault
That's
is that?
like the next scene.
Whose fault is that, John?
Yeah, no, I mean,
John the Han?
he really brought it down on himself here. He was like, I can give everyone trinkets, I think. And then we were like, all right. And then we left. And now it turns out he's got shit on his face.
Get that dog down from my window.
You know what? It's fine, guys. It's fine. We'll have a bake sale. We're going to raise money the old-fashioned way. We're going to do a car wash.
Is
I
bake
can
sale
watch
code
whatever.
for kidnap the princess of Sweden?
No, it's code for like cocaine brownies.
So you know you're expected to arrive tomorrow at noon, right? So you have about 24 hours.
Get
We
bacon.
got
Well,
24 hours to find a trinket and kidnap the princess of Sweden.
No, John Neville has like 5 lying around.
We're going to have like a sweet montage.
Like,
Okay, I do.
I don't understand how John Neville is not like under arrest
trinkets
right now.
lying around.
Hold on, John. I have some questions about how you acquired these trinkets.
he's like Smithers, climb and get that little robot from the shade.
Yeah.
I have questions about how you acquired them and how you're not like in irons
Like,
right
as
now.
a member of the Magic Police and the church.
Baron, as I've said, I have many friends in many high places, and I am given a little bit of leeway with some of the items I acquire. Like I said, I threw a trinket party a while back, and a bunch of people ended up leaving them.
As you do with the fucking invaluable items.
Yeah. Like, gee, thanks, Hans.
Oh, darn it. Where did I leave that death ray? Oh, well.
I gave a bunch
I'm
to
sure
my
it'll
friends
turn
for them to like look at, and then the party was over, and I haven't seen them since.
Okay, so John.
Well, anyway, come here, check out my closet. I've got them all here.
Okay, so what's
just shoes?
what's the plan, John? Because
Yeah, what is the plan?
whether or
John?
not
What is the fucking plan?
from
You got 24 hours to give us the plan.
from a DM perspective, I think if you roll well, I'll allow you to have one in your closet. Okay? Like one, because you have like a closet with a bunch of stuff, like little robots, gadgets, things like that. A few like glow sticks that are like some chemistry marvel, right? Like you have some, some alchemy potions that like make your skin green for like 30 seconds, right? Like you don't really know what goes into mercury, whatever, right? So, but if you, why don't you give me a check of something fun? What applies in this case? So it would definitely be
Not mysteries.
mysteries is definitely a thing that applies, right? So let's do reason and mysteries, and give me a roll, and the check is going to be
Can
a
you-
4.
Alex, can you explain how you're deciding what like attribute to use to apply to the stat?
Sure. So the attributes are, they all have like their whatever definitions, right? So in this case, reason is more like logic, right? So John would know what's in his like closet, right?
And that's
And-
reasonable.
Right, and he can figure out what's foolish and what's ignorant or what's true, right? Like so he can reason out what he needs. And mysteries is like you said, right? It was
Yeah.
a good for this.
Now,
Okay.
you guys may remember, I believe Ulysses brought up a bit of an embarrassing moment for me where I was bamboozled, so to speak, by a
Yeah.
person who claimed to be
Witch.
a witch, a magi, and it seems they may have made off with my trinket.
Listen, Mr. Hahn.
Wait, is this the story you tell to explain how you just like handed your trinkets to all your friends and they walked off with them?
Wait, has Emmanuel left yet?
I mean, he's like waiting for his car to be pulled up front.
All right. Hal says, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Where do we want to meet up to head to this party?
Also, why is this party at noon?
All right. You know what? There's an inn of call not too far from where the party's supposed to be. I'll meet you there. I really must be going. And he'll like wander over to Emmanuel and say, "Dear friend, do you mind if I catch a ride with you?"
Back to the
No,
palace.
on the way to the palace somewhere.
Yes, perfect.
All right.
He gives you like a
I'll
weird
just go with
shrug, but so be it. He says, absolutely. So at the same time, since the rest of you aren't like rich and famous, you can actually make the same check, but the difficulty of yours is going to be bumped to an 8, which is like 10 is considered impossible. So an 8 is like you need to get super lucky to somehow stumble into a trinket of the same quality.
And what are we adding
not
up?
rich and famous.
So reason plus mysteries.
I don't want to roll.
Okay, that's fine.
Not
You don't
gonna
have
go
to.
well.
All right. So what if I want like either the church or the witch finders, or both to like lend me a trinket so I can serve the crown?
Oh, that sounds like a negative response to your question.
All right, fine. Take it back.
That is
Yeah,
that is a
nice
no.
fucking try, but you're out.
Sorry.
No, I think
Extremely upset the witch.
Kevin, I think if you want like a loan from either one of them, whichever one you have a better standing with, I think a brief conversation with them is not out of, but you do only have, right? You only have like a little bit of time, and so you need to kind of speak to the head person in charge that you may or may not know. So
Alright.
that's not
So where's
entirely
like
unreasonable.
the Witchfinder Castle? Witchfinder headquarters.
I mean, it's not like super publicized, but you'd know where it
Well,
is.
I am a
Not
Witchfinder.
too-
Where did I go when I answered?
You know where it is.
For my job interview.
You know.
Right, it's not too far, right? Like you could catch a quick cab
It's the
there
same
if you need to.
tavern that Al asked us to.
Well, you're from the canon, right? So they probably have like an actual church or something. That
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, all kinds of fucked up.
Okay. So quickly let's hop to John and so John, you like look through and you kind of like throw stuff around and you find a bunch of things, but they're definitely. Wait, you said you got your role. You didn't tell me your role, did you? You just said you didn't
I
know
didn't.
it.
It was that was my introduction to the story of how I was bamboozled by that witch and she took my trinket because
You have
that role didn't go well.
Okay, fine. You don't have to tell me roll if it's really that bad. And so essentially, you like sort of like move stuff around, and you're like, where is that thing? It was like glowy. I don't know, right? And so eventually, after like digging around for a little while, you sort of like give up.
This is rather embarrassing. I do apologize, chaps. I feel like I've let you all down. Perhaps I can put a word in with my father, see if we can get a trinket or two
Head
through
Hans?
some other channels.
Absolutely. I think a word to your father is perfectly fine in this case. In the meantime, let's quickly cut to Hal on his 5-minute ride with Emmanuel to the palace.
Yes. So I didn't want to say anything, but having been at one or two of John's parties, I'm quite aware that he does not have any trinkets. It would have been terribly gauche to say anything when he was so kind as to offer them, but equally, I don't want to let the crown down on account of that. So if we might stop by the palace and you could give me one of those trinkets, I will take absolutely good care of it. You know that mechanics and wonders are a bit of my expertise. And I will also certainly promise to look out for the others as it comes to these objects.
Emmanuel looks at you. He sort of like furrows his brow for like a quarter second. He's like, absolutely. He's like, yeah, definitely. Just please, like, I know you'll be careful, but just be, we'd want it back essentially the day after, the next time, when we get
Absolutely.
when we get a report.
I definitely won't leave it there.
Unlike the theoretical people at John Neville's theoretical trinket party, I will not simply leave the trinket at the location of the party.
So as you get, he says,
Neville's got
as
a
you,
lot of words and not a lot of
he says,
I
as
assure you
you
the
get
party
out of
was poetry.
as you get out of the car, like a servant opens your door, and Emmanuel's like, "Ah, your cane." He's like, "Surely we'll find it." As he um, leads you to the room
Yes.
with the cabinet, and he like proceeds to remove the key that's hanging on his neck, and he's like, "This is this is it. It's all cataloged in this book here, so I'm afraid we don't have too much time. So maybe just grab something, and we'll go with that."
My God. So I'm just like looking at this picture and choosing something.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Jesus.
Go for the hand.
That's because it's in the middle. That's the trick. That's the red herring. That's just a hand. It's like a lighter.
Get that missile.
The blimp. The blimp is cool.
The missile. Just take the armoire.
I'll leave all these items here.
Yeah,
I want the armoire.
I'm gonna take the furniture.
I think the princess would like that genie bottle.
Aaron's gonna
Wait,
go
do you guys
for
actually
the
see a
map.
picture? Where's this picture?
Roll 20.
I don't see anything.
I kind of like that genie bottle.
You gotta like zoom out on the top right, Dave, because it's like a small picture on like a big black screen.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and then you can zoom back in. Kevin, where's the missile? I don't see the missile.
It's a blimp.
He's just insisting that the blimp is a missile.
Okay. I was like, I don't have any notes for that one. I was like, quick, make something up.
What is the pile of red dicks in the left corner?
Listen, if you want, so
It's just left over from Marsh.
No, you know what?
It's Andy
so Aaron,
Cap's
so
hot fries.
the way it works is Emmanuel's not going to actually walk through you with what every item is. He's just like, you know what, just grab one and like.
Yeah, no.
So-
I was
Okay.
just joking about the pile of red dicks.
Okay.
Hal would like never say that out loud. All right, he's just gonna take the glowing green thing because glowing green things are great.
Under the
Wait,
blimp?
the book or the
Under the
emerald?
blimp. Under the blimp.
Under the blimp. Okay.
The rock? You take the
Well-
rock?
Will it tell me like what the
Listen, I
rock
would
is
take
in
the
the,
rock
list,
any
in the
day of
book?
the week.
Yeah, he says. So the records of this are kept in the other room. He's like, so let's just. He like locks up behind him. He closes the chest.
So
Right.
we're picking up some kind of like terror object, and we're not even gonna like look up how to use it first. We're just gonna like wander around with it.
Well, nobody said like Emmanuel knows what any of the stuff is, or that.
I don't know
well,
if Ulysses Winterfig is going to let this fly.
Yeah, this
Hal is like, well, Ulysses isn't there.
I know.
Is
But
he?
when this comes to fruition, like I don't know.
The suit of armor behind you moves.
Yeah, like,
So yeah, I mean, Hal is somewhat aware of like how dangerous these objects can be, so he's gonna be like really ginger and have that look on his face that you have when like someone has asked you to carry
Wait, you're
something
a
that's
redhead? Oh my
definitely,
god,
like,
definitely like a
dangerous.
witch.
Okay,
What?
so
You said you were going to
So-
be ginger.
Emmanuel
Yeah.
grabs the crystal, and he walks. So he locks everything behind him, and he goes to the room and he pulls it up, and he's like green crystal. Okay, he's like, so we don't really have a name for it, but and he's like reading, and he gets like really like this like.
Translation is something like flesh flare. But we're
He
not-
says, I guess it hasn't been tested to its like full.
I have no idea
Potential?
what that thing is.
He
No
says,
fucking.
but there's a little tiny mechanical switch in this crystal node, and he like shows it to you, and he's like, and I guess if you flick it, and he's like, I'm not gonna do that, but he's like,
When
if
you do that at the party,
he says, if
Everyone will die.
it seems to make you disappear for 2 seconds,
oh fuck yeah!
and the
Only
person
2
that
seconds, though.
actually flips the switch, it doesn't make you invisible. It actually makes you disappear and reappear in the same spot 2 seconds later. So to you, you just flip the switch, but 2 seconds have gone by.
Wait, who told you that?
According to this,
guy that sold it to me for like a lot of money.
Because like I don't want to spend like 2 seconds in the underworld or a different fucking dimension or something. Like I've seen that movie. Like those 2 seconds when I'm gone, That's it's not like, oh, I flipped the switch. Like, nah.
The royal scientist. It's signed here by the royal scientist Beatrice Lakin.
And what happened to Beatrice Lakin?
Oh, she still does
She's
this.
still
This
in
is
the
like her
underworld.
field.
She never
Exactly.
fucking
still-
returned.
He's still one of our like head scientists.
All right. Yeah. So good. I've got a disappearing rock.
Disappearing rock. If you really want to get to the party faster, Aaron, you just go like this, right, and like you do that
Just
couple
like
couple
make
thousand
time.
times.
Who is
Pass.
this person? What's their name?
Beatrice
Beatrice
Lack.
Lakin.
Beatrice Lakin.
Yeah. So now Baron Chester is gonna like try to go hit on Beatrice Lakin to get a trinket from her.
No, she is like renowned, right? She's known to be like one of the people that has made a lot of discoveries for the crown.
Is there
So,
any
like,
reason
it's
that
not-
means that
Oh,
Baron couldn't hit on her?
no, Baron can hit on her, but you'd know her for sure. Like you'd know,
Okay.
yeah, because you similar circles. So you definitely know her. You know that she, like some of the more commonly used like mechanical inventions are attributed to her from the crown.
Sure.
All right.
All right, so that item is gone. So nobody even look at that one.
All right.
How do I color that one? Draw shape.
So I will
no.
go to. I don't think you
Steak.
What are you doing?
Have,
That's it.
God.
It's gone. It's gone now.
I will have the blinding
The
yellow
yellow
square,
box?
please. All right.
The golden box. Wait, now the whole
Whoa.
thing's
Oh fuck,
He
we're
just
dead.
he just turned off the lights. It's fine.
Oh, sorry, I hit the light switch by accident.
No, I clicked the thing. That was me disappearing.
Oh, that was Aaron's point of view for like.
Yeah.
what's going on.
So yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, Ulysses, you arrive at the witch hunter's lodge. It's
What's
at
it called?
the witch hunter's lodge. It's basically it's attached to
Check
some
your
sort of
teeth.
office building, and it's a three-story house. So,
Okay.
sorry, like the front is like there's some sort of like office,
Sure, okay.
but it's a three-story house, and you know that the second and third stories here. I mean, it's pretty big. It's like a big house, and the second stories here, and the so you walk in, and the gentleman's like, oh, he's like, you here to take out a loan?
Is there like some kind of password? Like how like secret agent is that?
You
I'm
do
like,
like
no, I
a
mean, if we're
30-second
centering
secret handshake.
Aaron,
It's really
sorry, not Aaron.
complicated.
Nick, what's the catchphrase to get into this?
I told you it's like a 30-second secret handshake. It's like
All
you
right,
can mess up
Ulysses,
any detail
like,
of it. It's like,
bursts into like interpretive dance, like
My face
No,
already
no.
comes out.
no, but Nick, how does he get in?
how does he get in? He walks through the door.
After giving him 30-second.
All right, Kevin,
Yeah.
what's the
No,
what's the
you knock on the door, and when they ask you, what do you want? You tell them,
30-second handshake.
what? What'd you say?
30
I'll
seconds?
say. Keep going.
You tell them that the maw opens when the pale moon rises in a clear sky, or something like that.
So as soon as you finish saying that, you hear the latch like open, and the guy says welcome, and he gives you like a quick nod, and he's like, go right up the stairs.
Like, really? I just made that shit up.
All right. I go up. I walk into the commission's office. I say,
Nope.
Give me a gun and your badge.
You have a toothpick
what?
in your mouth?
yeah, so I want to just like, I don't know who's in charge. I tell him I need some magic shit.
All right, so you say that you want to speak to the guy that's like in charge, the custodian of the place, essentially. So as you see this like older gentleman, he like walks out and he says, he's like, Winterfig, yes.
Say, sir, I trust you have heard about my recent assignment.
Says, oh, yes, the something to do with the princess.
So yes,
suit of armor detail.
I must protest. This assignment has me consorting with the vilest of witches.
Like that baby.
You can't say that about the princess out loud. We all know that that's true, but
There's how can our organization have let such corruption spread through the ranks of the nobles in there? You know, the B-list nobles like Sir John the Han.
John Neville. John the Hot.
John the Han.
He says, Winterfig, I wouldn't take this to heart. Most of them bring talking robots, and occasionally someone brings some sort of shiny rock.
Yeah, he
He
does.
says, things like this have long been off of our radar. I wouldn't look too much into it from a magic perspective.
What
Very
about
well.
camels that are burning twice as bright? Are those,
At least twice as
are those
bright.
on your radar?
I say very well. Then you must know that as entrance to this party, I must procure an item of similar ilk. Might I borrow something from the vault?
Wait, we're bringing elk into this now? Camels, donkeys, and now elk?
He says, of course. He says, do you know the rules for taking such an item out?
I will take the missile. I promise to bring it back unexploded.
The rules are that you look at this picture of a room in the palace and choose an item on it, and then I give you something else.
I say, I assume I must return it, of course. Anything else?
He says you have 20 hours to return it from when you take it out. Official business or not.
What happens if he doesn't return it within 20 hours? What's the penalty?
I mean, that's up to Ulysses to ask.
All right, I'll say, of course, sir. I wouldn't dream of handling such a vile object any longer than was absolutely necessary.
Okay, so
Again, you can't say that about the princess. Not
Wait,
out
say that
loud.
about the Princess of Sweden. That's
Oh,
all
all
right.
right. No, she's fine.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh.
So Kevin, I can very easily. I have like a whole bunch of items. Do you want to choose one of the ones from the chest, or do you want me to give you one that's not on here?
Oh, definitely give me one. That's give me something from the secret menu.
Okay.
Secret menu. Oh, I thought you were going to ask for that like slightly tapered tube thing.
the
Picture.
missile.
And anything that's like a little bit, you know, I don't know, got like some tail fins, anything in that nature.
So he walks up to you and he like opens up his like drawer and he says, he's like, this is one of our stranger devices, and I don't know if you'll be okay with it. You let me know. Otherwise,
It's very similar to that bag of red dicks on the.
and he takes out this very tiny cylinder. No, it's a very tiny cylinder.
Okay.
And he says, he says, the cylinder, he says, if you squeeze it so, he says you could make it materialize within 2 inches of its own location.
Apparently, magic in Clockwork is like really prohibited and like really lame.
Okay. All right. Wait. So what do I do to activate this?
Just squeeze it.
I squeeze it
And
and it
disappears from your hand?
somewhere else nearby.
2
Like,
inches away.
2 inches away. Yo, you are not going to impress fucking anyone with this.
Nope.
I say, don't
Maybe
we
like
have
you
any-
literally just like threw that from one hand. to
Don't
the
we
other.
have anything more
Appear, like
occult?
inside of you, like 2 inches away?
Yeah,
Because that could
like,
be really
somebody
bad.
pretty well with that, right? Just like put this bullet in their brain for a second.
Look
Just-
at me.
There you go.
I'm the custodian now.
All right. Yeah. No. This. I gasp. I say. Such a vile
Really?
object. The manner
There's
of evil
way.
which could be worked with such devices.
Were
unthinkable.
it a 3-inch transportation device, I would be all right with it. But 2, I'll have none of that.
Absurd. All right. Yes. I'll take this and I'll be glad to be rid of it and its taint.
Okay. Well,
Don't put it anywhere near your taint.
Or
Not recommended.
So
Oh boy.
you stay there for a little while longer. You exchange stories of like hiding in like armors and stuff like that, and then you entertain him. You talk briefly, and you head out. In the meantime,
Like this one time, I slipped right in, and it was great. But they were talking for a long time, and I like really had to take a dump, and I like couldn't move the suit of
Right.
armor at all.
that's what I meant. Stories like that, Nick. And so then John, you place you have Smithers call your father's estate, and a short time later, your father calls back, and he's like, John, what is it, my dear boy?
Oh, Papa, good of you to call.
I think you're supposed to call him the Han Senior, not Oh Papa.
It's better not to say
Big Han. We call him Big Han.
Big Han.
How's the city treating you?
Father, good of you to call. I am doing a bit of a job for a good friend. You know him, Emmanuel, advisor to Her Majesty. And
Ashton
I'm in
advisor.
need of a trinket. Perhaps you might be able to help me out here?
He says, like, what do you mean? Like some sort of jewelry?
No, more on the magical side, if you know.
He's
Magical.
You couldn't just say that.
He says, my boy, has that traitor been visiting you again? Maybe that one young man that visited you that promised you a few things. I don't know if you should be really
Father, really, this is not the time to bring that up. That was one time. I am perfectly capable of looking out for my own belongings.
Yeah.
You don't need to go into this whole thing again. All right, now just help me out. Here, help me out. Need some help. This is for the crown. Okay, we're doing good for the country. Just pull some strings here for me. All right, Dad.
He says, well, I don't want to be involved at all. I'm gonna have Mastian call you, and you can talk it over with him. We did not have this conversation. Goodbye, John. It was nice talking to you.
Wow.
Cheers, Father.
So a few. So as you stand there, thinking about the ruined relationship with your father, about 30 seconds later, the phone rings, and as you pick it up, you hear, hello?
Hello?
Smitty.
Yeah, is this Neville Junior?
Yes, who is this?
It's Mastian. Your pa asked me to give you a ring. He said you need something.
Yes.
This is not going to end well for you, the Han.
God damn it, Dave.
He says, all right, well, listen, I can get you some stuff. There was a few things that fell off the lorry that I can maybe get my hands on, but then you owe me one. How's that?
I will look on your treasures.
Nice.
So he says, yeah, all right. He's like, it's good. I'll give it to you. He says, where can I find you? Where can I find you?
Come to my apartments. If you don't have a ride, I'll send Smithers to come and get you.
He says, no, I'm not. I'll come myself. I know where you live. All right. So let's say some time passes. While time is passing, what is Chester Northington up to? What's his ticket to the party, Nick?
Chester Northington's cracking wise and being a man about town.
Yeah, no,
totally,
I mean,
totally disregarded his responsibilities.
no,
Completely.
I'm like, but like, so while our friends have managed to acquire a few pieces here and there, what's the plan for?
I mean, I think there's one plan and one plan only.
Okay.
I'm off to Sweden.
Listen, I want to know if Sir Northing or Baron Northington is even sober enough at this point to remember he's supposed to get.
Baron Northington isn't a
Probably.
drinker.
No, but seriously,
Yeah.
Nick, like, what's
Baron Justin Northington is off to see the like local commanding officer to ask
Okay.
about the trinkets. Although he's not going to say trinkets because, like, one, apparently that's a really confusing term to people, and two, he just doesn't want to say the word trinket.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody does. So yeah, so you go straight to the barracks. You know where the commanding officer is. You've been in these parts. So you see the guy. He's sitting at his desk. He looks rather young. You don't necessarily know him, but he does look rather young. And he
What's his name?
so the little placard on the door says, oh my god,
Name generator.
no, I have his name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he's Cullen Dustby.
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 Dustby. Yeah, that's that. I think what the Hun said. That's what I'm imagining. It is Dustby. Good old Dustby. Yeah. All right. I don't know. Whatever. I like request permission to see him and in a formal way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, he doesn't really have like a line outside his office or anything.
I know,
you
but I
just-
request permission anyway. Like if he has a secretary or something.
Yeah,
I like
so-
ask to-
yeah, she says, oh, absolutely. It says, she looks over, she looks at him. She's like, are you free? And the guy just sort of like nods, and you like walk. It's a little less
it's
like
far too
proper than
casual
you'd
for
like.
Manchester
It's like,
Northern likings.
yes, like you've been in the front lines, right? You like this is a little weird for you for some people to behave like this.
I'm
but
like muttering to myself about how like even in Australia they're better organized than this.
ooh, that's a real big insult. So maybe you shouldn't say that out loud. But yeah, so
All
yeah,
right,
so
even in Clockwork, Australia, they're more.
Australia. So as you walk in, Colin stands up and he like salutes you.
Yes,
And he
I
says,
salute him back with proper deference.
Says, yes, how can I help you?
I ask him about his trinkets. No,
Can I see your trinkets?
I heard you were free. I mean, I got nothing else going on. Yeah, so Baron Justice Northington, like kind of is always wearing his army garb, by the way, so it's pretty clear who he is. And he says, what did you say? This guy's a commander?
Yeah.
He says, yes, commander, I in a British accent, a Clockwork British accent. He says, commander, I must speak with you privately. May I close the door?
Yeah. He looks back at his like secretary. She's just like sitting there like typing something, and he's like, yeah, sure.
All right, I
What's
close the door.
What's your army membership rank, Nick?
2.
Oh, he says, oh, absolutely, Baron.
Yeah, nice. I am a Baron. Don't let him forget that shit. Yeah, so the Baron closes the door and says, Commander, I must undertake a mission of utmost importance and sensitivity to the crown, and I require your assistance.
Says, any way I can help.
Baron says, yes. Well, I must blend into a certain crowd of perhaps those that I would not normally associate with, and in order to do so, I must bring with me an item of ill repute.
Says, okay. He looks a little uncomfortable. But he says, well, what kind of item are we talking about?
Bag of red dicks. As many red dicks attached.
I'm like, what's
at,
that
like, the
sticking
hilt.
out of your top desk drawer right there? That's so I say to him, I said, Commander, where how far abroad have you been in your service?
Says, oh, I've been he thinks for a second. He says, I've been all the way to France.
Well, if it's like real France, then like that's pretty far. It's like a whole other dimension. If there's like Clockwork France, then like
Clockwork France.
all right. I say, yes. Clockwork France. It's excellent. I say then if you've been all the way to France, then you will have seen the type of item of which I speak. Over in France, perhaps they are not quite as ruly as we are, and they let these things out and about a bit more. But I speak of the items which no doubt you have some kept here at the barracks.
You mean perhaps
I've
trinkets?
killed. I think I've killed the Hans. The Hans down for the count. Hans is bright red as like that parasol behind him.
He says, all right, let's pretend I know what you're talking about.
No, I don't want to pretend, Commander. I want you to. Otherwise, this conversation's not really going to go anywhere. I say, Commander, if I must be more plain, I am looking for an item that is forbidden by the crown for its magical properties.
Or mechanical. Why the fuck is everyone immediately going to fucking
Because
match it?
this guy was like, "Oh, they're magical," and I was like, "Oh yeah, magic." I say, Commander, in my youthful days, I once aspired and almost thought that I would attain the status of witch hunter, and I never quite made it, and I relied on my military training, but I still know a suspicious package when I see one.
And you still have this package. Show me your trinkets.
That's what I was going.
Says, and
Unzip your vault and show me your trinkets.
says, you are well renowned, sir, but this is not your post.
How did you get here?
There's something
I was outside the door.
What happened to my
And
secretary?
moved through the 2 inches of the door. Surprise!
He says, what? He says, what would you leave something in collateral of equal value?
All right, can you send me Smithers so that I can collateralize him?
Perhaps someone to vouch for you.
Okay, so Baron Chester Northington looks like extremely affronted at that, and he says, Commander, if needs must, then I will have someone vouch for me. However, I do not believe that my status of being at this post or not should affect this. I have been requested to assist the crown, and you know my reputation. I am no thief. However, if you need, then I could get.
Nick, why don't you focus plus command him, and give me at least a 5.
Focus plus command the shit out of this guy.
Focus command and give me a 5.
Okay, so my focus command. All right. Let me wait. Hold on. Let me draw a card here. Draw 3 cards.
No, just 1.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
Not looking good.
Ooh, I'm fatigued.
Oh, that's -1.
Yeah. All right. That's a 4.
All right. He says,
Fucking -1.
Get the
You're-
fuck out!
he says, he says, it's not that you're not well known. You are, but you got to understand, we can't just give these out to any high-ranking officer that walks into the office.
I say yes, very well. So as I said, shifty-eyed look, I could get the Han down here if needs be.
He says,
Boone?
he says, John Neville? Is he?
Is there another the Han in town?
Is no one going to give me the respect that I deserve?
He says, is he involved with the military somehow?
I mean, he's the Han. He's kind of got his hands in all the pies.
He says, maybe someone with a military office or background?
Sure. I walk down the hall until I find somebody I know from the military and ask them to vouch for me.
Do you have any contacts? Military?
I don't. I mean, not like in a mechanical sense. I don't think that was like a thing.
Under features, you could have contacts. It's one of your assets. Assets, you could have special contacts.
I thought you meant mechanical contacts. Like, why would he?
No, I didn't know that was like a thing. No, I don't know if my army membership. I don't have the book in front of me. I don't remember if my army membership that means that in any way you have contacts, but I doubt it.
Okay, so army membership got you this far. He says, okay. He says, you mentioned this assignment. Who was your commanding officer?
I say, Commander, I thought I made this clear. This was an assignment to assist the crown. I am not under military jurisdiction for this.
He says,
this came directly from the royal cabinet.
He says, Advisor Petley put you up to this?
Colin Petley.
Yes.
He's
I mean,
the
Baron
advisor-
Justin Northington's not a liar, so since he doesn't know what you're talking about, the answer is no.
He's the advisor on war tactics and international affairs, because he said it came from the crown. But he
He's like
assumed it's...
The
Oh, is
only
he
one
on
who
the
didn't put
document?
us up to this. He's like the only one who didn't want this.
Yes, I say he is the only one who didn't put us up to this. I say no. I say truthfully, he was there when the assignment was given me.
That's true.
Nick, how's your guile?
Probably
My
non-existent.
guile?
Give me-
I mean,
Give me,
I don't know why you're asking me that.
no,
What
give me
what
a
do you want to
focus.
know
Give
about
me-
my other
I want to
stuff?
focus plus guile because you sort of avoided this question. It shouldn't be that hard because you are technically telling the truth.
Focus
if you get a
plus
1
guile.
on focus plus guile, if you get a 1, then you're he was there when I was given the assignment, right? Like it's technically
let's
true,
see what
but it's just
happens. All right, I got a 3.
Okay, so you say he was there when I was given the assignment, right? And he says, you were one of the visitors that went to the palace this morning then.
I say, yes, I did visit the palace this morning.
He says, okay.
Score more points for honesty.
He says, well, I think that's perfectly okay.
All right, I want the missile.
All right, Nick, I'll give you the same choice as I gave
Mystery bag.
All right.
Fucking.
So he takes out a little box.
Come on, who doesn't take the mystery box when there's like an 18-foot yacht on
You
the
got a
platform?
pencil that writes with the eraser and writes with.
That's exactly what you're gonna fucking get.
So he hands you a little box. It looks like a cigar box. It's maybe 2 inches by 4 inches. Right? It's kind of like
Oh,
this
nice.
big.
Okay, so this is for us to celebrate with when we successfully.
This is our victory dance.
Yeah.
Right, and he says, I recovered this myself in Marseille from a
Cigar shop.
from a certain house of ill repute, and he
Wait, so when I said items of ill repute, how come you didn't know what I was talking?
You didn't know
he's
you meant
using your words,
trinkets.
right? And so he basically he very carefully sets this box down, and he takes a pen off his desk, and he pops the lid open, and as he pops it open, this like
Fun don't stop.
this flame is like burning inside this box, right? It's just like continuously burning, and he says, "So, says we can't really put it out," and he like flips the lid closed. He's like, "I hope." It's like,
Yeah, that's super sweet. I think to myself, and then I say, yes, thank you, Commander. That would suffice. Excellently.
it's
Also
not a very, it's not like a burning flame. It's like maybe like a
No,
little bit,
that's
but it's
okay.
still
Can
like.
I tell you about how, like, regardless of how big the flame is, it is infinitely more impressive than the thing that Ulysses got?
Yeah.
Like, it's a fucking ever-burning flame of some sort, whereas he got, like, a thing that moves a little bit.
I think we all have a thing that moves a little bit. I like take this button off my jacket and I'm like, ready?
Yeah. I squeeze it, and then it, like, scoots about 2 inches, and, like, that's,
flies
you know...
in that direction.
All right, so you take all your pleasantries, you stay there, and you tell him of your war stories in Australia, or
Yeah, I regale him, and I also ask him when he needs this back.
Oh, he says, you said your assignment is tomorrow?
I guess it's tomorrow. It's still tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, he says, so by the end of the day tomorrow, if possible?
I say, of course, Commander. Whatever you need.
He says, and if we don't get it by Christmas Day, I have to report you, right?
I say, Commander, there's no need to bandy about such things. Of course I know, and we'll do my duty.
Just protocol. So as you guys finish up your conversation,
In punishment, I tell him another war story.
So as this is wrapping up in the barracks, the doorbell rings, and Smithers lets in this short man. He's like kind of like he has like a limp. He walks in. He's like, John Neville, right? How you doing?
What's this guy's name again?
Matthias?
Matthias?
Yeah.
Okay. Matthias, good to see you. How have you been, my boy?
Says, yeah, I was just in the neighborhood. It just took me a little time to find this place, but pretty good. He's like looking around. He's just like, he's not really like meeting your eye. He's just kind of like looking all over your.
Matthias, I don't know what you're talking about. You've been here before. Now show me what you've brought.
Says, he's like, I only had this one thing, and mystery bag or.
It's a bag of dicks. I thought you'd like it.
Mystery bag me.
You get this golf ball that always just doesn't land in the hole.
This golf ball that's missing one dimple.
Dimple, yeah.
He says, so he's like, yeah. He's like, here it is. He like pulls out this these like pair of pants. All right, and he's like,
Wait,
no,
he
wait.
just took off his pants?
He's like, no, wait.
Nope.
He's like, these are my spares. Sorry, right? So he folds them up. He's like this,
Mystery bag indeed.
and he pulls out a white servant's glove, right? And he's like, I don't know what they did over there, but he's like, look at this, and he puts it on, and then he like goes to this the like one of the chairs that you're like sitting on, and he like squeezes it, and it ends up like making an
a couple of inches away.
Indent in the chair. Like his fingers make a small indent in the chair. He's
Damn.
like,
What
I don't
kind
know.
of chair?
Wooden chair.
Oh, okay. All right.
I say, I'm impressed. I'll say that. But
I feel
outwardly, I don't let on. But I say, Matthias, you've outdone yourself. This will work perfectly.
He says, yeah, all right, yeah, cool, great, this is amazing. So he's like, listen, so I'm gonna need a favor on New Year's Day, if that's okay by you. I know you're having some sort of party there, right?
Of course, Matthias. And really, I feel like you owe me from the last time I invited you to one of my parties. But if you insist, I will make an exception this time and bring you back after what you did the last time.
Yeah. I was just hoping that I could bring my sister.
Party?
There's two of you.
Oh, he's just
Well,
gonna
I
dress up as a
suppose.
girl. Read between the lines.
Wow, that was hurtful.
He says, "Oh, that would be great." And just for John Neville, context, it's a little bit. I mean, it's a lot of bit below their class and wealth ranking to attend such events, right? So,
Welcome back to Live from Beyond. We're leaving now.
We
Sorry for the
apologize.
technical difficulties. Yeah, we apologize, especially I don't know, the GM, because he's not here to apologize. He apologizes as well. But thank you so much for joining us. If you missed us as we cut out due to horrific but well graphicked technical difficulties, we were basically just wrapping up the fact that we've all gotten our tickets to the party. And if you want to tune in next week, you can see kind of where that takes us, what ridiculous adventures we all go on, and really the important social hierarchy of Clockwork London. So thanks a lot for everybody for playing. If you've been watching us on Twitch, you can watch us on YouTube instead. If you've been watching us on YouTube, you can watch us on Twitch at those websites /Live from Beyond. We play our games Tuesdays at 7:30, but do not miss Thursday's new excursion into barely charted realms of conversation between role-playing game dudes. Thursday, probably also at 7:30 Eastern, but if you're on the Twitch, you'll see when we go live. So thanks a lot, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night.
Night
Good
all.
night, everyone.